I'll be happy with it.
Welcome into the PHNX Cardinals podcast, presented to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook app, America's top-rated sportsbook app. NFL is back tonight. Gentlemen, I'm Johnny Venerable, joined in studio. Bo Brock, 81, Frank Sanders. What is the good word, gentlemen? Preseason football kicks off. We have football now consistently until mid-February. What are you laughing at?
It's a beautiful thing. Frank Sanders, you just told him that, the NFL starts tonight. I think he was unaware that the Hall of Fame game was going to be underway, and just saw some of the lineups or who's not in the lineup. No Christian Kirk debut tonight, folks. Cardinals fans, you're not going to see
$20 million man.
Yeah, the $20 million man, and anybody of interest for the Jags ain't playing tonight. So it's already lost its luster before even the game began.
Don't you think I won't put money on the DraftKings Sportsbook on preseason football? I will. The Jags, -3. Give it to me. Hammer the over. The over's 30.5. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But, gentlemen, right now, welcome, everybody. We got a lot to talk about. Training camp, cards, red and white scrimmage upcoming in 2 days. We'll be there. But Frank Sanders, Hollywood Brown got into some trouble yesterday. Did you bail him out by chance? Did you go over to Maricopa County Jail and get Hollywood Brown out of prison?
They wouldn't even let me do it. That's the sad part about it. Like, I was there chanting, "Free Mr. Brown, free Mr. Brown, free Mr. Brown," and they wouldn't even let me. They wouldn't even let me wouldn't even put set bail for him. They say, "Hey man, he got to do his time. Give him a second. He's gonna meet the judge, and after that, then they're gonna release him, and that'll be the basis of it." So, but it's crazy, right? 128. I think that was the speed, right? 128, 126. God damn!
I have never gone over 100 that I can remember.
Never gone up. You've never reached triple digits?
Johnny, you play it safe, man. Johnny, you like
my little Hyundai Elantra, my little Mitsubishi Outlander.
Johnny, you
I'm
play
gonna
it safe.
say that's kind of.
I mean, everyone in the chat's like, man, they at least doing 110 and 115.
Past the century mark, at least once in your life.
What's the fastest you've ever driven, Bo?
I think one time on my way to Las Vegas, I know my mom watches this podcast a lot. She's not gonna be happy by this, but I think I approached 110.
Wow.
I'm not proud of
Arrest this man.
I'm very proud of me. 137 500 SL Mercedes-Benz, actually on the I-10.
See, that makes me nervous.
I had to check it.
I pucker up when I hear that, man. That is not.
Look, you don't buy the horses to walk them. You buy the horses to race them. God dang, what's wrong with you guys?
What did Kliff Kingsbury have to say for himself for his brand new wide receiver today?
Let's hear from him. Actually, Kliff Kingsbury spoke to the media. Pretty transparent. What he said to his newly acquired wide receiver. Let's hear from Kliff.
Yeah, just glad he's safe, and we're still working through the details of it all. But I'm glad to have him back. No, he was coming from his house to the stadium and got pulled over, from what I know. Good. Yeah, he's never had any issues, and obviously he knows he's got to be better than that, and he will be moving forward. Yeah, there's no doubt. Like I said, unfortunate incident, can't be doing that, and we want to get him back and get him back involved. Yeah, we definitely address it. I mean, we understand anytime you have that sort of caravan coming from one place to the next, I mean, you got to be smart, and you got to follow the rules and obey the laws, and so hopefully we don't have any more incidents.
Now, I mean, you're going to hear those sound bites and people who are skeptical about Kliff Kingsbury and how tough of a ship he runs. They're probably not going to hear that and feel like there's true accountability here from the head coach, very loose. I mean, you can even kind of come to your own conclusion that, Hollywood Brown was not at the wigwam where the team is staying for training camp.
What's he doing?
He said, he even said in that clip, he was coming from his house. I mean, if you just kind of connect the dots.
I can connect them.
He's going 101 southbound. The team would have to go northbound from the wigwam unless he's an early riser and he's getting a quick bite to eat in the morning. I don't know where he's coming from. It's not from
Frank, why is he at his house?
He's not at his house because what happens typically is a lot of guys, they'll do room check at a certain time. And at a certain time, once they do the room check, guys will probably give him 2 or 3 hours in the room. And so maybe between 1 and 3, he probably was he was in the room, and then about 3 o'clock in the morning, he decided, boom, I'm a jet, go home or go to my girlfriend's house or my little bitty house. I'm gonna go over her house or first thing in the morning, do a little quick workout, and then I'm gonna try to make it back to the, on time to the meetings or back to my room in the right amount of time. Typically, that's what guys do. If you're a married guy, you typically go home because you want to be home. Some of the guys have kids going to school's first thing in the morning, so they can try to kind of get them up, get them going. That's something that some of the guys do that's married, or they have access to the kids. If they don't, then they try to get back to their lady or just kind of get that good rest in before they come back to meetings.
That sounds terrible. So he's gonna practice all day, and then he's in the hotel room at the Wigwam, and then he sneaks out at like 2 or 3 in the morning. Hollywood Brown's 25, so I guess he's got the stamina to go and do that and like 2 hours of sleep. But that sounds literally like my body aches. I want to collapse into a ball listening to what Frank Sanders just said. And I believe you, Frank. I think that's probably what happened.
I know exactly that's what we're doing. We're leaving at a certain time.
You can't get wiggy at the Wigwam? You can't have some ladies?
No, because they have too much. Look, let's keep it real 100. Like this young cats, man, there's a lot of opportunity in the valley. But if you really, this is how it just plays out. If your husband got kids, got to get them to school, you're going to leave early in the morning. At some moment, security around the facility does not have to be there because they expect you to kind of sleep in and think you're going to be there. Some guys will leave and then go get in their own bed, grab 3 or 4 hours, or then get up and sleep with their wives or their girlfriends, get the kids up and get them ready to go to school. That's a potential for some guys that might be a level of maturity. Hollywood Brown, he's new in town, so we don't really know how he's getting down. But if he is getting down how he's getting down, then that's probably what happened. And he just got caught in that little trap where he was in between times trying to speed to get here. He got caught. I mean, I promise you, in the NFL right now, there's probably, 2,000-3,000 players that's out there trying to make an NFL football team. There's probably about 125 to 250 that's doing that every morning and every night, that's leaving the facility, going home to get in their beds if they're in the position to do that, without a doubt. Now, I would DraftKings bet that 1,000 all day long.
I don't doubt that you're right. It doesn't make it right as far as what Hollywood Brown was doing.
I agree.
New
I'm
kid to town, probably the
that.
biggest acquisition of the offseason. And you're out there, you can't stay at a nice resort all night. You can't sleep in that comfortable bed and just, be a good player, teammate for 2 weeks before they break camp on August 10th. He'll be back in his own bed.
We haven't seen what he went home to.
But that can
that's
wait. No, that's not a great point.
It's a great point, JV. We don't know.
Look, he's on. Listen,
he went home.
He's getting right now coddled a little bit by this organization. He hasn't practiced at all. Right? They're ramping him up. He's just hanging out. We were there Saturday. He's signing autographs. Right? He's the belle of the ball. You mentioned it. By far, their most high-profile acquisition of the offseason. Everybody loves Hollywood Brown. He hasn't done the damn thing yet for this franchise. So I think maybe he overplayed his hand a little bit. I want to get back to this comment. Brother Numsy in the chat says, I was talking to a player last night that left his room to get some grub. Brother, you can't put that out there. Who was the player that you were hanging with out?
Don't do that. Don't say it, brother. Don't say
Let's hear it. No, it's good for our show.
Don't do it.
I mean, Frank, you were up in Flagstaff, right? They were doing camp up in Flag?
Yes, we were.
So it's a little bit harder. Obviously.
No, it's not. We were doing it in Flagstaff, without a doubt.
What was there to do in Flagstaff?
It was NAU students there for the summer. Hello.
Oh, hello.
Thank you. I wasn't the guy, but I just know the guy.
Right.
I heard several stories.
Right.
I just heard stories. I just heard stories. I'm just saying, I got a bunch of stories. That's all I know. There's some stories. Look, this is the part where training camp is what it is. I know this is the expectation of the fan and the organization that we're 100% locked in, we're focused. This is not the same situation. I will say this respectfully. When we went to NAU, there was a difference because there wasn't a whole bunch of kids on campus. There wasn't a whole bunch of things on campus. And we were 3 hours or 2.5 hours away in Flagstaff, away from our families. And so we literally went to focus on nothing but football. Because of the situations now, guys, and the way the stadiums are, they have changed. It's just a different type of ball game right now. Michael Bidwell did not want to concede to the monies that was asked of him, JV, when it came to NAU to refurbish the facilities, and he made a better decision. The players back then were staying at the Renaissance right next to the hotel and walking across the street, going directly over to the facilities. Now they're at the Wigwam, which gave them a little bit more room. That was there, but you do have scenarios where sometimes guys that are mature or guys that can handle themselves will make decisions. In regards to, I said as earlier, they might go home to their kids, go home to their wives, and then feel that they have enough time to flip the script and get back home, to get back to the facilities for practice.
So some breaking news, Bo. Again, 2 times in 3 days here at PHNX Cardinals podcast. Cards running back coach James Saxon. This is according to ESPN. This is official.
What the heck?
Was charged with 2 counts of domestic battery stemming from an alleged incident in May. Team rep said that they're looking into the matter, Bo. So we literally cannot escape this organization, this franchise, and controversy.
Yeah, it's I mean, what Frank's saying is I think now, like, this team really has to realistically look at itself, each and every single person that's a member of this organization, and get their shit together. I mean, this is just incident after incident. This seems like the most serious of anything. This is not, scrubbing your Instagram. This is not, having a lead foot in criminal speeding, which is very serious. But this is the worst of them all. What's alleged of the running back coach, and it's this organization needs to tighten down the hatches a little bit and really start being professional. Like, look,
it's just it's crazy that this thing happened. The incident happened in May 7th, and it's coming out now.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that's on May 7th. That's a little bit right after the draft. Am I wrong? And then you're watching it, transpire now. We're in camp, and this is August, and now the information started to hit the table. I don't believe it'll be a distraction. I believe that it is one of those scenarios that unfortunately did happen. We don't know the fullness of the story right now, so I really can't speak on the full details of it. There are some information that is out there that's on the reporting of what did happen or what might have transpired, but we don't know the full details of it. So I think that's the difference. But when you watch that is happening now, it is kind of crazy and it can be a distraction. But I know for a fact, I've been in the locker room, I've been on the field. You know what we focus on? Football.
And James Saxon may not be able to focus on football because there's a very good chance, Bo Brock, that they either put him on leave, non-paid leave, or they outright terminate him if this proves to be true.
Sure.
And the Cardinals could be looking for a new running back coach.
Just checking out the details, the story on ESPN.com. Josh Weinfuss, who covers the Cardinals locally here. And in Saxon's case, it stems from an incident in an Indianapolis area Costco, continued at home of the woman who was the victim in this. And it's a level 6 felony charge, which is the least serious in Indiana. So we'll continue to kind of follow this. But that's the latest coming out of the Cards.
Can I just say one thing? Kliff Kingsbury, this poor Kliff Kingsbury, every day he's got to address a new controversy. And I think
he's rich right now.
Well,
he's like $11 million a year.
You know what I mean. Kliff hasn't been able to talk too much on the field football because of everything else surrounding this team. So everybody that banged on Kliff and his extension, he is about the biggest calming presence this organization has. Keim has made mistakes. Michael Bidwell's made mistakes this offseason, right? Players have made mistakes. Agents have made mistakes. Kliff has really kind of been the salt of the earth guy that everybody goes to now looking for rationale. He has been a little bit of the whipping boy at the press conferences. He's having to answer all these tough questions. So I have much, and I already respected Kliff Kingsbury. I have so much immense respect for Kliff Kingsbury, newfound respect that he's up there taking arrows, taking grenades for literally everybody else. We're going from the front office all the way down now to his coaches, assistant coaches. And it's unfortunate that, Bo, we can't go a day without something like this happening.
No, it's not. But, I think the people who don't like Kliff Kingsbury are going to point to him for one of the reasons why things are going awry as far as his organization. Is there enough accountability? Now, I'm just playing devil's advocate. I was thinking about it today as he stood up there and spoke about Hollywood Brown. Why would you, if you're a head coach, the expectation of your staff, of your players, are for guys to be professionals out there. And the fact that they just can't, that there's so many issues that are impacting this team off the field and their ability to get on the field. Like, you do feel for Kliff Kingsbury, but at what point do you get in, just MF some people and tell them to get their shit together at this point? Because it's got to be frustrating. It's got to be. I mean, this has been the worst off season as far as off the field issues, and it's it's festering, right? I mean, and when you look at who's gotten in trouble so far in this organization the last couple of years, and are they truly being held accountable? I know that Steve Keim missed 5 weeks. He had like the $250,000 fine that was imposed by Michael Bidwell. You know, they had the other guy who was like who was a CEE or whatever, who had another incident, who ended up he resigned, correct?
That's correct. He did resign.
I mean, this is just kind of a couple years running, and I know
it's the Valley, man. It's just the Valley.
Is it?
I mean, my man with the level 6 didn't happen in the Valley, but right. The Valley just lures you in, man. It's a mirage of you can do it. You can drink all day and not feel that fire until you get on behind the wheel, and you think you can drive at 128 miles per hour because the roads are so beautiful and they're open at 5 a.m. Not that I know, but they're wide open, and you can just kind of speed around some of these turns in your vehicles and things like that. But I'm going to put it on the Valley, saying that the Valley has a voodoo magic about it. It's not Louisiana magic, but it has a magic about it. It's some kind of native magic, man, that it has about the Valley that just allows itself to. The guys feel great. The weather's amazing. It's not hot. It's warm, but it's amazing. And sometimes you get caught up in it. You live in Paradise Valley. JV don't know about that, but he knows about it. If you're in Scottsdale, you know Scottsdale life.
Don't know about that either.
Like it's always like it always feels like a little small Vegas, and a little bit you can leave the W and then drive veer east directly into the casino, then leave the casino and go back to the W, and then do some walks.
Live here too, though. I mean, you don't see me doing one.
Well, you gotta have about a couple bands in your bank account to do some crazy stuff.
I mean, get your shit together.
They got bands in their pockets, man.
This is a team that won 11 games. That's effing hard to do in the NFL.
That's a winning season.
Right?
No, I'm sorry.
This is a team that just invested $230.5 million into one player with the expectation for them to be better the next year. You don't do that by taking yourself off the field or off the sidelines as a coach by being a dumbass. Like, at some point, like, these guys have to be professionals. And I don't know are they telling them enough? It's, to me, like, for guys like Johnny, for Frank, myself, like, I feel like we don't have to be told that stuff, but there are some people, we've all worked with people like that before, where they don't have to be, you have to tell them everything. Hey, don't drink and drive. Don't do things that you would think is just the expectation, but that's clearly not good enough for this group of guys overall as an organization.
Don't worry, though. They brought in J.J. Watt last offseason to apparently fix the leadership within the whole organization, top to bottom, not only in the 53, but J.J. they'll fix everything. We'll put out a J.J. Watt PSA tomorrow. Everything will be fine.
There we go, JV. Speak about it. That's some time.
No, I'm sorry. Heavy sarcasm.
J.J. Watt be the
he's the golden
cleanup man for this.
He's the golden kid, man.
Kliff, they got to get their brooms out. We'll get Fitz back. Fitz will make a couple statements. We'll talk about new helmets. Everything will be fine.
I can't trust that Kliff's going to be great. Did you see his woman?
That's how I know he's great, because he just keeps his.
He might be great. We don't even know if he's going to be great. Man. Did you see his woman? This little model thing he got next to him?
He does pretty.
I mean,
which means you can. What Kliff is the example that you can live a good life here in the Valley, right?
Yep.
And you can also not get in trouble on and off the field. That you can have great things. You can have all the nice things you want, but you also have to be a respectful professional.
Kliff has he's in the midst of, like, all the guys are. They all have an opportunity to be professional, and then they're not professional when they're not professional. I'm hoping that he stays professional and do his job. This right here is what's supposed to happen. Listen to me, guys. Don't take this. Don't take all this right here.
Oh, tell me who is injured.
No,
today.
JV, relax. Check. This is supposed to happen. The reason why it's supposed to happen, because it's a young team. And it's a team that's coming together. This is not a bunch of veterans that have played together for 4 and 5 and 6 years, and there's a leadership that's of great quality. Our coach is young. Our quarterback's young. And half the team is fucking young. So just excuse my language on the effing part. I apologize. But let's go back. Everyone's young, and they're trying to figure this thing out. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of opportunity. But guess what happens when they realize, when it hits the fan, when they start really having to realize what competition looks like, that somebody on the other side of the field wants to knock your head off. These ain't your buddies. These ain't your homies. They'll come together. It'll make us better. It will make us better, because you'll start weeding out the BS, and the guys will start rallying around the moment of the mindset of what we have to do and what we come to do. That's what happens. Training camp is a plethora of BS. Coaches,
I don't know. I think I get the from everybody else that this is not a buttoned-up organization right now. That everybody can kind of do whatever they want to do.
You think Sean McVay's putting up with this shit in LA? You think that Kyle Shanahan's having to deal with this stuff in
absolutely?
San Francisco?
Yes.
Hollywood Brown's pushing the envelope because he feels like he can.
Absolutely.
That's the end of it. James Saxon did this because he's. I don't have to worry about repercussions potentially.
What? No way. No way.
I'm not reaching here. They've set some kind of precedent within the organization that this kind of stuff, not Saxton's situation, but like how many arrests have we had over the past half decade, executives and players included? We are averaging at least 1 to 2 arrests, Arizona Cardinal affiliated arrests every offseason. Zaven Collins, Christian Kirk. Now it's Hollywood Brown. Kime's been arrested for an extreme DUI.
I told you the Valley has that mirage.
No, let's not do that. What about Los Angeles? There are 2 teams in Los Angeles. We hear anything from those teams.
You can't be drunk. You can't be drunk in traffic. You can't be drunk in traffic in Las Vegas. I mean, in Cali. Like that's like you're really like you're a turtle in traffic now. That's terrible. You can be drunk in traffic in Phoenix because you're moving.
No, you can't.
You're moving.
This is the DUI capital of the world.
DUI depends on if you get pulled over.
How about just don't drink and drive?
Right.
The team has shuttle service.
I agree with that. I'm a fan of not drinking and driving. Trust me. I agree with that. It's just sometimes these guys assume that the Valley, like you feel like you can make things happen, and it's just it is what it is. And then you find yourself like, damn, I got caught. And then it blows up in your face. And then as a young kid, you got to realize like that's not how it plays out here in the Valley, bro. We all got eyes on you.
I just don't know if it's a true testament to accountability. Like at some point you have to say, if I do this, is it going to impact my ability to contribute to this team and where it wants to go?
I will say this here though, respectfully. Like I remember Buddy Ryan. Mm-hmm. You messed up, you got fired.
And that doesn't exist.
Buddy Ryan did that without a doubt. You messed up, you got fired. Right. You had to be a super vet in order for Buddy Ryan not to, immediately release you from your position. And I think that was definitely on the table. Of course, the salary cap numbers right now do matter. And guys, those things do come on the table where you just can't necessarily fire a guy when you have contract situations. But what you will do is set a precedence. All you got to fire is 2 guys. You got to make an example out of 2 guys that you're okay with firing and letting go. One has to be a name guy. One has to be a weak guy. And once you do it, you balance out your checkbook. But what you will do is create a locker room that has that precedent of what you guys are trying to talk about.
And what I will say this, James Saxon, we'll see what happens with this and what's alleged or whatever. But as far as an organization trying to maybe throw down the hammer, James Saxon's probably going to receive it. They're not going to hammer Hollywood Brown. They're not going to hammer anybody that's going to really truly impact a running backs coach is not your top wide receiver that you acquired this offseason. But as far as what's going on, it's a little too loosey-goosey within those walls, and it's got to tighten up. It's a joke. We joke about it, the incident board, and how we can't even get back to 0 in 24-hour span. And that's unacceptable. I don't care what business. I don't care what business you're in.
You're butting yourself up, Arizona Cardinals. But I want to talk to you about the injury report. But before we do that, again, preseason football tonight. God, can we just get to Cardinal preseason football so we can stop talking about this garbage? Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. You can bet like me on the Jaguars tonight to beat the LA or Las Vegas Raiders, who supposedly aren't playing anybody. Jags are going to jag. Doug Peterson's debut. They're going to get the W. You can bet on them. Bet the over 30.5 points on DraftKings. Make your first deposit. Get a risk-free bet up to $1,000. Use that promo code PHNX only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See our show notes for details.
Let me tell you about a delicious beer from Four Peaks. It's Kilt Lifter. It's their flagship beer. It's delicious, right? It's sold even outside of Arizona. This is what put Four Peaks on the map. And Four Peaks Brewing Company is the best in our great state, 48. We've also got a great option for you to get some Four Peaks swag. You can get yourself a $50 Four Peaks gift card. You can also get a PHNX shirt and a PHNX annual membership just by going to the website, gophnx.com, and entering our Toast of the Month sweepstakes. Do that, get in the sweepstakes, win that great swag bag from Four Peaks and PHNX, and then go have some delicious food and great beer over at Four Peaks on 8th Street. We're there at the end of every month, every final Wednesday of the month. We're out there. We're also hosting watch parties. Four Peaks is our central spot right now for watch parties. Go check them out on 8th Street. They're also in the airport. Four Peaks Brewing Company. Delicious. We're enjoying a kilt lifter right now.
Last week was on the Wow. Right now we're on the Four Peaks. That's pretty. And a kilt lift, and it's pretty delicious.
This is how we celebrate the kickoff of the NFL season.
Bo, did you hear these comments by Kliff Kingsbury when you were there earlier today, basically questioning if Marco Wilson's the guy? How dire of the situation is for the Arizona Cardinal cornerback group, where Byron Murphy cannot play outside the slot, or Vance Joseph would prefer not to play him outside. And now we've got issues about potentially Marco Wilson. Somebody needs to step up, according to Kliff Kingsbury. And now Marco Wilson potentially is injured with a groin. What's the status right now?
Yeah, I don't know if it's a frustration with Marco not being able to be on the field and compete and really, take hold of that job, because he's had a pretty strong camp. I mean, him going back and forth with DeAndre Hopkins the other day, first day of pads, they were getting physical out there. He's playing with an edge, and it was tit for tat. It was D-Hop one play getting the best of Marco, and then Marco getting the best of D-Hop. And you saw that, and that's all there. The skill set, the competitiveness. We'll just see if he can make a major jump from year 1 to year 2. But it is concerning when you hear those comments from Kliff Kingsbury, because I can confirm that's what he said. He said it's still an open competition. You hope that he's going to take advantage of the opportunity that he has, but now he's dealing. He had a massive hamstring cramp, and then he had this groin injury that he suffered yesterday. You just hope it doesn't take him off the field much longer. Byron Murphy, we would talk to him today, and he's going to play a little bit inside. He's going to play a little bit outside. I think the latter there, the outside, is just out of necessity at this point, because who else is going to do it? You got Josh Jackson, and then right now just a couple ham sandwiches. I mean, it's going to be tough. I think when you look at what's available as far as cap space, that's really where they're going to have to spend some money on some key veterans who are available.
We've gotten a lot of questions. The Cardinals now, after this DJ Humphries signing, his extension has freed up almost $7 million in cap space. That's cap space that they want to put to work this year, we would assume. Overthecap.com is going to have them right around 17 million, gentlemen. So I have a list of best available free agents right now, and it's a lot of positions the Cardinals maybe don't need. Offensive tackle, wide receiver. I mean, I would love for them to go after Odell Beckham or Will Fuller, but I don't think they will. So when we look at the edge presence, we know they tried out Takk McKinley. We've got a Trey Flowers, if you're interested. We've got at the cornerback position, Chris Harris Jr., maybe a Joe Hayden. But they have money now. They can go be particular. Right. They can bring in one of these veterans, a Kevin King, a Xavier Rhodes. That's you don't want Xavier Rhodes. No, he's not very good at all. No. But the Cardinals need to get busy with some of these moves, because we're on the cusp of the preseason starting, and these players are going to be signed. And the Cardinals, I don't think they're going to have to compete with the Dallas Cowboys anymore with Takk McKinley. They signed Anthony Barr, who got $3 million, who's not coming off an Achilles. I would not be surprised. I haven't heard this. I can't source this. The Takk McKinley, I know his visit went well, but maybe they have a minimum contract on the table. We know Keim loves to do that, but the money's available, guys. We got to get this going.
Well, I don't know if it impacts your cap space, but just let's sign a couple babysitters for this team. They clearly need that. They need somebody to watch over them, make sure that they can get
Frank,
to.
Can you go be the enforcer?
For a check, I will, without a doubt.
Everybody in the organization, not just the guys on the field. So I don't know. Will they take the vet minimum? Jack Rabbit Jenkins, a cornerback who's known for his outside play. I think that would be. I know that he was beaten badly a lot in week 1, but he rebounded and played some decent football for the Titans, and he's available. He was one of John Skelton's favorite targets there when he was a member of the Rams, unfortunately, back in the day. I know a little long in the tooth, but Jack Rabbit can play a position of need for the Cardinals outside, Frank.
Let's go right to the idea of it. The Cardinals' defensive line is average at best right now. Correct. So our cornerbacks have to be absolutely Deion-esque. They have to be really, really freaking great to stop the receivers, hold them up, to give our defensive line enough time to get to the quarterback and cause pressure. If they're not if they're not the defensive line of old that we need, every cornerback or any cornerback in the NFL, secondary-wise, they need a great defensive line to put pressure on the quarterback so he's not back there patting the ball. And a receiver like me, I'm out there making up routes like I'm out on 18th Street next to Johnny in Maricopa, and he's like, go left, go right, go left, and he's still patting the ball. That's the problem. So our cornerbacks right now, look, they're probably getting worked over, extra work, because our defense line is just not getting a lot of pressure on the quarterback right now. And so that's the challenge. If they can fix that, that'll help. Everything that Kliff is saying right now about the guys is probably on point, because these guys are holding. They're holding, trying to hold the corner, our receivers up, because they know that our defensive line just is not, they're not getting enough pressure on the quarterback to force him to get the ball out on time.
There are a lot of questions in the chat, gentlemen, about Robert Alford, why he isn't back with this team. Bo, I get the sense that ship has sailed. I don't think they're back in the Alford market. Alford hasn't tweeted recently about any interest returning to the Cardinals or playing in general again. He was great last year before he went down. It feels like if they were going to bring him back, they've had ample time to do so. He doesn't have a ton of options. They've had plenty of money. It feels like they're going a different direction, Bo.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, get him back in the building. He knows VJ's system. He played really well. He was kind of an unsung hero of this defense. I know as far as reliability, can he make it through the 17-game marathon? Probably not. But can he come in and play significant snaps and impact this team early on like he did last year, while the youngsters still acclimate to the NFL level and you get that front seven more dialed in? I think, why not? I think it's a no-brainer. Whatever is going on between Alford's camp and the Arizona Cardinals, why they haven't signed him. Maybe he just doesn't want to participate in the dog days of training camp.
Nope, I'm not doing it. I agree.
Yeah,
I'm definitely not doing it, JV. I'm not coming to camp. Y'all can kiss my whoop behind. I got enough time. Here's the difference between Robert Alford and everybody else, though, when we had this conversation. Once you sign me, I get my veterans minimum. I mean, I get that money. So you can't really dog me outside of that. So the Cardinals need to know they have a bunch of young guys that are they're developing and growing in the system that doesn't require the same amount of money that it requires to pay Robert Alford right now. And so we got to look at the contractual portion of it, not just the veteran. You can't look at just the veteran portions of it like he's a veteran. If he's not a healthy veteran that you know that's going to come in with leadership, remember the Rams last year, they took a chance on Wilden. What was his name? A safety?
Yeah.
They brought in Whittle.
Yeah.
They brought in Whittle, a safety, to play 2 games of the season. Eric Whittle. They brought him in because they knew he was healthy, he was in shape, and they brought him in because he had veteran leadership that he can kind of put guys in the right spot. Guy won a Super Bowl champ, but you have to have that 2 games.
You also have to have that front seven.
So that backs it up, and that's the point why we're saying. So Robert Alford will be a guy just getting laced out there because you got to have pressure for him to really use his veteran savviness to be able to kind of read how to jump routes and how and when and when not to jump routes.
When you're in the bargain in 5 weeks, though, it's time.
No, you got plenty of time.
When you're shopping at Walmart's bargain bin at this point, that's where we are in free agency.
The $3 DVDs.
I mean, you're getting vet minimum and then just maybe a little bit over, and you've got $17 million. I mean, you can buy the whole damn store,
right? And you're not
going to the 99-cent store with a Benjamin Franklin.
Well, and Kyle has always done a nice job going into the season, maxing out the cap. And this is not like the Jets and a lot of these teams that are rebuilding. They may not want to sign a bunch of cheap veterans. They may not want to get up against the cap. The Cardinals are trying to win. We know that actively. And they have holes on their roster. They've been speaking about the holes in the secondary for what feels like the entire summer, yet outside of a Josh Jackson signing, which that looks like it's going to be a pretty nice under-the-radar move, Bo Brock, from what we've seen at training camp. They have money to go spend and bring these guys in. I can't imagine, unless there's something that we on the outside do not know, when you see these lists put together, these free agent lists of note, we're at the point, like, do these guys even still want to play football? Do they have other options? Because, like, why isn't Joe Hayden taking visits, right? Why haven't we heard anything when we were speculating about Rodney Hudson, J.C. Treader, right? Trey Flowers is under 30 years old, right? Somebody that could be a very nice complementary pass rusher, especially against the run for this team. Like, bring Trey Flowers in and let him play defensive end opposite Marcus Golden. You could afford him right now. He went to Detroit and was kind of left up in the air, but he was great in New England. To me, I don't understand the lack of sense of urgency, because this is so unlike Steve Keim. Every year, every offseason, it's been boom, 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 free agent signing, free agent visit, exhausting all options. Doesn't feel like they're doing that now.
I think he's sick of drafting guys and not getting them on the field. I think that's part of it, right? I mean,
so he doesn't trust his
took 2 third-round pass
coordinator.
rushers. He wants to see what he has, at least at this point in the offseason or in the preseason.
Yes.
He wants to see guys like Myjai Sanders and Cameron Thomas get some reps, which is important. And hopefully VJ, sees something that he can utilize during the regular season.
But I don't trust Vance Joseph to play them over who they have already. I'm watching Tanner Vallejo, by the way, get smoked by James Conner in a seam route today. I don't want to see Devon Kennard and Tanner Vallejo
Lots of people get smoked by James Conner. I'll just,
that is true. Lots of people.
I mean, his running back mate said he didn't know how pure his hands were. I mean, James Conner can run some routes and he can pull the football down with the best of them. But I hear what you're saying. I get your point. I mean, Tanner Vallejo, the middle linebacker core is outside of Zaven Collins, which is tough to say. Is a question mark. Is it going to be Nick Vigil in Zaven Collins? Is it going to be Tanner Vallejo? We're not seeing really Isaiah Simmons in the mix any longer. He's more on the back half of that defense.
He's playing safety at this rate, or corner.
He was playing some deep safety today. I saw some deep safety from Isaiah Simmons today. It was interesting.
Honestly, I'm going to say this. Johnny, you and I both. You guys have studied the off seasons for years. This off season has been totally different. So apparently they're turning over a new leaf. Either Steve Keim has gotten a different kind of wind of how he should be better at this thing than he has been in the past, which is running out and signing free agents and bringing them in and watching it just kind of unfold before him and maybe not in the way he wants it to be. And so I guess we got to look at it and say he has another 6 years to kind of do things differently than he's done, which is he hasn't again, we just let go 2 young studs, and that's in Chase Edmond and Christian Kirk. Mm-hmm. We just let go 2 studs that 2 second-round guys we let go that were really young guys on the uprise of their tenure in NFL. And so I think maybe he's just trying to do something different. He didn't go out and get a bunch of veterans. I agree with you. He's probably going to let the guys he just drafted watch these guys go through a few reps in practice, because when you're a veteran, you don't need as much. If I know you're working out and training, then you don't need as much. You don't need a whole bunch of reps in training camp to figure out what you're going to do during the regular season. You just have to really feel like how you have to know that this guy can come in, learn the system, play his role, and do his part. And so I think that that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And I'm going to just take a page from you, JV. This has not been the Steve Keim of old. This guy's doing something totally different. I
don't like it. It's not good for our business. We're trying to talk about free agent signings.
Right.
We want emergency podcasts.
That's the point. But we're seeing something different. And I think that's part where we're seeing him try to build a team and create longevity in the picks that he has, compared to the one-lick wonders. And if they're not good, we just wash them away and then start this thing all over again. And we don't really have the depth that we need to have at positions like we should have at offensive line. We have no depth at offensive line. We have no depth at defensive line. And we have no depth at our linebacking core. And those are things that you can look at and say, man, you have not developed anybody over the years. What are you going to do? Are you going to really let these young guys come in, become the guys that they want to be, give them a couple of years to figure some stuff out, and then we all grow? And then guess what? If we win a championship in 2 years, if we win a championship next year, then we're all going to say, man, kudos to what took place, because at the end of the day, you found a formula what works for the Arizona Cardinals, and then you found a formula what works for, being successful in the NFL.
The big, variable that's missing here from, the Keim time signing is the BA. I mean, I think a lot of those guys were Bruce Arians guys that he developed relationships with, and he's obviously no longer with this organization. And Kliff Kingsbury doesn't have those. He doesn't have guys that he's coached before and has seen him play and say, hey, go out and sign this guy. He's available. I know him. He played for me. Let's get him in there. And he's going to be seamless as far as the transition from him being wearing street clothes and then getting in here and making an impact for the Arizona Cardinals. The Cardinals right now, they have to sign at least 2 guys, and it's either 2 corners or it's a pass rusher and a corner. Yeah. It's just they're not deep enough to compete at the cornerback spot right now. I mean, there's not. I mean, you've got Byron Murphy, who you want to play inside. That's your lone cornerback. Who's going to be the 2 guys on the outside? And if you don't have somebody getting after the passer, I mean, here's what can fix everything, right? And it's not a free agent, Johnny. You've got $17 million. Is that according to Over the Cap right now? $17 million. If you have $17 million, it's going to cost you $12 million to get a guy like Robert Quinn after it's all said and done. That's what it's going to cost the Cardinals or whatever team acquires from him. Go out there. If you get a pass rusher the caliber of Robert Quinn, everything's safe. Everything's saved. You can re-sign Frank Sanders to play corner for the rest of the way.
I'm ready.
You got Marcus Golden, you got J.J. Watt, you got Zach Allen, you got Robert Quinn. You got enough dogs to get after the quarterback. That front seven's stout.
The word on the street from our friends at CHGO is the Bears roster is not great. And so hopefully ownership and the general manager coming to grips with, hey, maybe let's cut our losses here and try to get some real value. The price on the street price for Mr. Robert Quinn entering a contract year, 3rd or 4th round pick. So you'd be willing to do that for a guy who's only signed through this year. You give up potentially one of those extra 3rd rounders, Bo Brock?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
I would too. Don't you feel like you're close? Don't you feel like that could be something that could potentially save this defense from a devastating start to the season? I mean,
it could also save the headlines for this organization.
You want to come Trey Lance week 1. You're not facing that Bears offense week 1. You're facing Patrick Mahomes.
Then you get Derek Carr and Devontae Adams, and then you get Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford and that gauntlet.
Unfortunately, like you guys, you don't trust VJ. I trust VJ. I trust Vance Joseph.
What makes you believe I don't trust
because
Vance
you don't
Joseph?
Believe he's going to play players when they're young. You don't believe that he's going to, he doesn't know what he's doing in regards to like moving guys around and bringing in young talent and letting young talent play. I believe that this is what happens, and I see it consistently, is that if a guy gets his head smashed in and he doesn't pick up the system fast enough, you can't stick him out there because you don't want him to lose his confidence. I believe in VJ. I believe I watched him last year and the year before where he literally tried to maneuver and move guys around consistently to put guys in different positions. Chandler Jones finally had a beast of another guy on the other side with J.J. Watt, and they put them together sometimes. Prior to that, it was CJ on one side of the football field, and they tried to move him to attack, various defensive, offensive tackles to put him in the best position. But we moved guys around, and we saw that. And I think that he has the power and ability to do that. It's just unfortunate right now. Again, our front line does not look like anything that we want to line up against Mahomes. We don't think that front line is going to go out and just, put a bunch of pressure on the quarterback. But I have to believe that what we're seeing right now is what we have to become the reality with in grips. Again, next week we got a preseason game. Like we really got like this is what I'm saying. Like I know it's not the real game, but it's a preseason game where the veterans will get maybe 10 snaps or 12 plays, and then everyone else after that they'll get the rest of the reps, and then we'll see the Colt McCoys, the great Colt McCoy, come on the football field and just dominate our offense, and our defensive guys is just going to be amazing. Yeah, that's what we expect. Week 1, week 2, and then we'll see week 3 when the guys play a little bit more. And so, but I believe in VJ and what we're trying to do, which is watch. And I think Steve Keim is putting pressure on these guys to take advantage of our draft picks and see if we can get these guys to play. It might not look pretty initially, and on paper it doesn't look stout, JV. But I believe that watching these guys go through the growing pains, some of these guys with the pieces that we have around them could potentially kind of elevate to the next level of literally being a top NFL player.
Brother Numsy in the chat, I have to read this. VJ on the medium jeans, I know that all too well, with some church shoes on. That's great. Go ahead, Bo.
I got nothing for it. I mean, as far as the cap space, the team they acquired a player today, a wide receiver. It probably tells that it's not good news for Antoine Wesley, who went down, injured his groin hip area, already received an MRI. So Marcel Aitman, they brought him in from the Raiders, kind of another big body wide receiver. Probably doesn't spell good for Wesley. Okay. But and then one thing to follow along with is Zach Ertz. He's got the calf issue. We haven't seen Trey McBride for back-to-back days of practice. So you're going to see, Max Williams was activated from the PUP today. He was out there for the first time. Good to see Mad Max out there, the best blocking tight end they have on this roster, and more reps for Steven Anderson. Could come, that preseason game 1, it could still be the case.
Yeah, we got 5 weeks before the start of the season. Yeah. Plenty of time. I want to remind everybody, COVID-19 vaccines are free for everybody 5 and up. We are going to be at the red and white practice on Saturday. I'm trying to stay happy and healthy. So you should too. Don't be coming around with the cough or anything like that. Protect yourself with a COVID-19 vaccine. Those 12 and older are also eligible for a booster. What you got to do, you got to go to visit azhealth.gov/find vaccine for a location nearest to you. They are for free. We want to party with you throughout the course of the season. We can't do that if you're not feeling well and got the COVID and all the bad things that lead into that. So get a vaccine, protect yourself, protect your family.
Got some free stuff for you as well. OGs, they got a nice Flavoring Life sweepstakes that this great cannabis company is starting with us here at PHNX. One of the winners will receive 3 bags of OGs, including orange creamsicle.
3?
The GOAT. Orange
Can I sign up?
creamsicle.
I want to sign up.
You don't qualify, my
I want to
friend.
sign up.
Nope.
I want to sign up, JB.
No, just know that Frank's not going to be in that sweepstakes. It gives you a better chance to win. Go to gophnx.com, click the link in the show notes, or just go to ogsbrands.com. You can follow them on Instagram at ogsbrands. You can find their great stuff in all your local dispensaries like Four Peaks. You must be 21 years or older to enjoy. But look, 3 bags of orange creamsicle. Can't beat that.
Can't beat it. We'll wrap up today's show. Bo, there was a comment from Kliff Kingsbury with regard to Kyler Murray potentially asking to call plays, which I thought was funny. Kyler Murray, what was it? Calling plays over the phone, over the radio?
No, it was on Saturday. So when we didn't get to see Kyler Murray out there because they wanted to rest his arm, and this was before the positive COVID test, Kyler Murray put on the headset and he was calling plays, and Kliff Kingsbury broke down his performance.
You know that, hey, this shit ain't easy, Like every now and then, he starts shaking his head when I'm calling it in there. I'm like, all right, well, go ahead, big dog, No, I think anytime we can keep him involved, and he was coaching him up like right to the last second, like while they're trying to throw, he'd be saying stuff. So I probably won't do that again. No, we had him do it. We wanted to keep him involved, and he did a good job. It's just I would not want to play for Kyler Murray if I was the quarterback. He was the coach.
Had a ringing endorsement from his head coach. Apparently, he had like the old Sean McVay, Jared Goff thing where he was even talking in his ear when he was making the throw. Kyler Murray a little slow with the getting the play in there. Frank, you ever called plays before?
I've never called play. Well, I mean, I coached at Phoenix College and I called a couple plays a couple times. But look, calling plays is not as easy as everyone thinks it is. You got to be 2 or 3 plays out. You got to know how you're setting the defense up to kind of read them. And then after that, you have to make sure that the guys are following through. If they're not following through and you're not getting the scheme that you want, then it's going to offset what you're really trying to do. So I'm glad that he's learning that, because again, that's how you learn. When you listen to the mind of a Peyton Manning and you listen to the mind of a Tony Romo, when these guys are really talking, they're talking you through everything. Troy Aikman, these guys are talking you through all the points and checks that has to happen. And when they hear a play called or when they're calling plays in their mind. And sometimes I think that'll be the growth of Kyler Murray, when he can become the OC in his own mind on how defenses are attacking him, but more importantly, how he wants to attack defenses, JB.
I bet every scenario in which Kyler Murray was shaking his head were those garbage horizontal screens. So hopefully Kyler Murray has convinced Kliff Kingsbury, cut out the horizontal shit. Let's go deep. Let's go vertical. That's why we have Hollywood Brown. That's why we have Rondell Moore. Good for you, Kyler Murray. Burn those pages of the playbook. I don't want to see it again. Lord Almighty, if I have to watch September 11th against the Kansas City Chiefs and my precious Rondell Moore is subjected to those horizontal screens, I'm not going to be able to contain myself. I'm going to break up our new set, PHNX set. I'm going to build. I'm going to be invoiced. It's not going to go well. It's not going to go well for me.
What about on 3rd and 1? What are you calling? What do you think? You think Kyler's still doing what Kliff does and tells him run it deep?
I would jam James Conner right behind Rodney Hudson, right behind Will Hernandez, who, by the way, Justin Pugh is calling the new enforcer. God, I love that. Be smart. Be smart on 3rd and 1. You don't love that?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Will Hernandez they called him scrappy today. He's mixing up almost too much. I mean, he's getting.
I love it.
He is a shit starter out there, man. I mean, they're calling him the enforcer. I like this offensive line group. People are really kind of concerned about it. You got Rodney Hudson, Justin Pugh, and DJ Humphries, all really good friends on and off the field. They're veterans. I mean, the biggest key for that is health. If those guys can put together a full season or close to a full season, the 3 of them combined, I think that this offensive line is going to be fine and be able to keep their quarterback upright And then you kind of get a guy like Will Hernandez, who's going to be hungry to bounce back and prove himself, and is a shit starter. Hopefully he's not getting penalized too much, but I like it. I kind of like the group. Josh Jones filling in at the tackle spot, and then Kelvin Beachum, who's one of those guys that you don't have to worry about.
What you will see.
Go ahead, Frank.
What you will see is that sometimes when you have a veteran offensive line and you have some offensive linemen, this is what happens in a lot of camps, is because your defensive line is so young, the defensive coordinator or the defensive line coach will come and say, hey, get messy. I want to see if these guys can be grunt men if they got dogs in them. If they don't have no dog in them, be a little more aggressive, hold them, pull on their shirts a little bit longer, because you want to see, you got to test guys to see how far they're willing to go if they got a little fight in them. And you can't find that out by doing the little BS that the NFL has established right now as what we call camp. You have to actually test these guys to get testy with them to see what's going on. So Will Hernandez, I love it because what he does is he's going to make everyone realize that you got to bring a little bit more extra energy when it comes to when you got somebody that's fighting for his job. And so guess what? He might not be the greatest offensive lineman on the planet right now.
Yeah.
But what he will do is he'll make our defensive lineman and our defensive coach see which guy is ready to play football and be on the NFL level.
I want a new shirt from the PHNX merchandise locker that says SBS, stop being soft. Stop getting pushed around by the LA Rams defensive line, right? They look soft at the end of the year. Will Hernandez might not be the most talented guy. He is the biggest, scariest motherfucker on that offense. I'm terrified of him. He could eat me in one bite. Go to gophnx.com, become a member, 99 cents for the first month, $8.99 for the subsequent month. Go to the PHNX merchandise locker. We got word of our brand new shirt today. It is literally hot fire. It's going to be our greatest shirt ever. Be on the lookout for that. It's coming to a closet near you. PHNX.
Can I see it?
No, we don't have it ready yet. It's not going to be gone yet.
It.
We'll talk to you about it off air, Frank Sanders. Calm yourself. Gentlemen, it has been a pleasure hanging out with you this afternoon. Friday show, and then boom, 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 red and white practice on Saturday. Be sure to like, subscribe, leave us a 5-star review. Do me a favor, everybody in the chat right now, go and like this YouTube video so it gets passed around the algorithm. We can continue growing. Have a bunch of fun. We're the only podcast that's doing this every day live. For Bo Brock, Frank Sanders, I'm Johnny Venerable. See you tomorrow.